half the battle, then waiting around for the call back can become a real challenge too. This morning our career expert Randy Wooden joins us with some ideas that will get you noticed and maybe bring you out of the crowd a little bit. Good morning to you.
Well, good morning.
Okay, so a lot of people are applying for jobs online.
Sure.
And there's a real key to that. There's a way you have to get your information out there so it's going to be noticed, right?
Sure. It's the single biggest complaint that job hunters have, which is I don't hear back. And that's whether I've applied online and I'm waiting for that phone call for the interview, or it's I've interviewed and I don't hear back in terms of results of the interview. Let's talk first of all about what happens if you see an opening online, because that's realistically how jobs are advertised.
So many of them.
Exactly. I'd argue networking is great, and if you can figure out who the company actually is, then go the networking path. But if you can't and you don't know who they are, it's critical, Brad, it's critical to take those keywords that are there in the job description and in the requirements and incorporate those into your resume and also do a cover letter. Very important. You can't do a one-size-fits-all these days, because without those right keywords, you'll get screened out.
You've mentioned that sometimes a computer is seeing that to look for appropriate resumes.
Oh, sure.
And that's what it's looking for, right?
Well, it's relevancy, and they're looking for those keywords. They're looking for certain job titles.
Right.
They're looking for any number of things in there, and you don't always know what those are, but if you don't take the time to at least try, you might as well forget about it. So here's another point, too. Don't wait. Back in our day, a long time ago, we used to...
A couple of weeks
ago, we were of the mind that we need to wait a week or so, let all that initial flood of resumes come in.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
And
the
then,
wait, and when do you know how long do you...
Don't wait. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Software searches by relevancy. And let's say the first 200 resumes come in, and the employer is looking for a certain relevancy level. Once they reach that threshold, they have their half dozen candidates. There's not a need necessarily to wait another week or two for more to flow in. So jump on it soon.
Are you bugging somebody if you feel like you're calling to or checking up too early?
No, and that's one of the biggest challenges, I think, especially if it says don't call. You wonder, should I call, shouldn't I call? I think if you do call, you need to be very brief. Just give them your name and express interest in the fact that you're looking forward to the interview process. But the second half of that equation is, I've interviewed with you. Now I don't hear from you.
Don't hear from you.
What happens now? The end of the interview, take a moment to make sure you understand what the next step in that process will be, whether it's another interview, whether it's a decision, that sort of thing, and a timeline for that to take place.
And that's appropriate to ask.
It is.
Okay.
If they should volunteer it, but if they don't, ask about it. And then ask whether it would be okay for you to follow up if you haven't heard. So you follow up with, first of all, a voicemail if you don't get a live body, and then you wait another week and try an email. And then maybe one more time. But you know what? In this day and age, if you haven't heard, the reality is just take your ball and just like the lady did with the basketball, take the ball and go home.
Yeah.
Because...
But she could dunk, and hopefully you can too. Right?
I'm anchored. I don't go anywhere.
Randy, thanks very much. Great ideas.
Thank you.
Hopefully suggestions that will work for you. And he's always got good ideas. 9 before the hour. We'll be back in a moment.
Away from your TV,